Welcome to the Tapestry podcast, where fashion stories are woven one thread at a time. I'm your host, Ina Korobkina, actress who played Luda in Dawn of the Dead, that pregnant chick who succumbs to a zombie scratch and gives birth to a zombie baby. So ironically, I have come back to life to birth this podcast, dedicated to exploring the blossoming world of creativity and beauty amidst the AI revolution. This program is brought to you by Jewel Branding Studios, a style consulting agency that helps you tell your unique story, one creative outfit at a time. Susan McKenzie, welcome to the Tapestry podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you, Ina.
I usually love to start off this podcast by reminding my audience and sharing with my guests that this podcast is dedicated to sharing fashion stories and discussing the transformative nature of clothing. And I'm also exploring this theory that finding our authentic style, it's a life journey, a series of moments that are woven together to create a rich tapestry that is our unique life, hence the name of the podcast. And so today I'm super curious to learn about your most memorable fashion moments and how they literally color your work as a color therapist. Now, before we dive into learning about what sort of pieces, clothing pieces and colors fill your wardrobe, as someone who understands the power of color to affect the subconscious mind, can you please describe what color therapy is and what drew you to it as a form of healing modality?
Oh my goodness. So in most other countries other than Canada, it's actually called color psychology. They do not like us to use that word, but it is really tapping into the psychology of color and how we connect to color. So that's pretty much what color therapy is. And we connect to color on a really deep subconscious level. And when we connect to color, what it does is it helps us to look what's sitting in our subconscious mind. We understand color innately. We really do. As human beings, we understand color innately. I think in nature we understand color innately. Like animals know to stay away from the red bugs. That's danger. So in that respect. And color therapy does that. It connects to color. And so in my world, what I do with color is I work with a system called color mirrors. And what it does is it mirrors back to my clients what their soul most needs to know that is sitting in their subconscious mind. Because for many of us, we sit in our subconscious mind. It draws, is what the driver of our life is our subconscious mind, these thoughts, beliefs, and patterns that we've collected over time, and it basically is the driver. And when we bring them up to the conscious, then it helps us to actually clear the patterns, the thoughts, beliefs, and patterns that that are driving us, and we move from a space of conscious living, which is a much lovelier place to be from.
Definitely. So when a lot of us operate from that subconscious mind, not spontaneously, but sometimes on autopilot. So literally, if we're walking through life, we can step into the role of the observer and look at what colors people are wearing, and we can read their moods. Is that a good way to describe it?
Quite possibly. I can share a little story with you. We had gone as a family. We had gone up to Manitoulin Long Island for a camping trip, and we had rented a cottage. And at the beginning part of where this cottage was, there was another cottage, but we shared this driveway. And one day I was out walking my dogs, and this lady came charging over to me and said, "Excuse me, do you mind not letting your dogs do their business on my property?" And I stepped back and I just said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that. I thought that this was just a common ground. I'm so sorry." But then I looked at what she was wearing. I immediately looked at what she was wearing, and she was wearing this forest green sweater, and she was dressed all in green. And often when people are dressing in green, or those particular shades of green, it is like it's the color of the hermit. You could clearly see it says she wanted nobody in her world and everything else. And so I responded to her from that space. And I literally I went, "Okay, this woman doesn't want anybody around." And I just went, "Oh my goodness." And I just went into a space of empathy to understand her rather than hit her head on and act from a place of coming from my subconscious of like, "How dare you tell me what to do?" Right? But I just said, "Oh, that must be so frustrating for you that, you probably on a regular basis have people coming here." I ended up talking to this woman for about 20 minutes. about, the animals around there, and then said, if you're up this way again next year, why don't you stop in and have a cup of tea? And I thought, isn't that funny? But it completely shifted the situation for sure. You can definitely see where people are coming from in their clothing, and quite often.
Interesting. So now let's touch upon the color black. This is one of the reasons that we're having this conversation because I was talking to Anya, a mutual friend of ours, and she knows how much I love the color black. And she basically told me it's not a color. My friend Susan is going to tell you it's not a color. And then I started looking at my life and my closet, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I have a lot of black. What does that say about me? So tell us a little bit of what black signifies.
Yeah, and I will, because I think this is a really funny part of the story, is that when Anya had connected us, I had gone onto your website and I saw you wearing all black. I thought, oh, we'll have to have a conversation about that. So before you'd even known that, yeah, sure. Well, here's the thing: like, black is not a bad color. It really is not a bad color at all. And there's no colors that are bad. I mean, just think about it. It is the darkest color. It's the darkest bottle in our system is actually, well, there's a play on it, but if you look at it, it looks black. And, black makes us look at ourselves. Right. Black is that void. It's about going within. And so you think about black, and I think, we were talking about it, and in some of the questions, we were talking about the history of black, because I think it is really important. And I thought that was a really interesting thing, because quite often, or really what people used to wear black for, which just solely was for funerals. And, some cultures, the a widow will wear black for an entire year after the passing of her husband. And, so that's really every people go to funerals, everyone wears black. And the color, black is often a color of hiding. And when black became that fashion thing, right? When that black dress came out, like, that was really great. Everyone's like, oh yeah, oh my God, black is a fashion statement. That's really great. But when I was thinking about that whole process about black, I was thinking, but back in the day when that one person wore that black dress and a couple of people dabbled in wearing black dresses, right? It was old, but now everybody wears black dresses. So now it's not so unique. I would just like to say that that's kind of like where my thoughts went on that. But um, so why do women really wear black? And quite often, I believe more often than not, women wear black dresses or wear black because for two main reasons. Number one, it's very slimming,
Mm.
and it hides stuff that we don't want people to see, or things that we don't find appealing about ourselves. And it's really versatile because everything goes with black. It's like everyone goes, oh, I'm wearing black pants and I'm this, right? That
It's
kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
easy. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Do you know the history of the little black dress and when black came into popularity and what the historical events were that aligned with that? Do you happen to know that? Because I
I
wanted
don't
to
know
look
what the
into it.
I don't know what the historical events are that line went up to that. I think it was Coco Chanel. I could be wrong about that. That she
Yes.
brought in that black dress, and people were like, "Oh my God!" Like, really, it was really quite something. But
Huh.
yeah, so I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot other than that aspect of it, right?
Yeah, she was all about minimalism and movement and fabrics that were easy to live in. Because before that, there was a lot of corsets. And so she just created this everyday wear that women resonated with. So, yeah, that's interesting because so after we spoke, we had our conversation. I recorded two other episodes before we meet today. And in one, I experimented. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go a little lighter. I wore beige and I felt at home. I'm like, okay, I could do this. I can steer away from black. And then yesterday I had an interview and I forced myself to wear pink and I felt very much out of place. So I'm still working on it. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a journey finding our authentic style and you just reflect on these moments and you reflect on how you feel.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Now, what does Carl Jung say about color in the subconscious?
Carl Jung believes that color is the mother tongue of the subconscious mind. And he's right. Like I know that for a fact. I see all this in its fine intricate workings, but it really and truly is. Like if you look at how we use language nonsensically and sorry, color nonsensically in language, right? Tickled pink means, oh, we're in the pink. I'm feeling happy and loving, and yellow bellied. Green with envy. I'm feeling blue. I was so angry I saw red, and it's just it really like it goes on, and we understand it. It like it makes sense because it
Hmm.
really does make sense.
It does make sense. So, looking at it from a fashion and style point of view, if someone wanted to expand their expression through color and expand their wardrobe or start adding pieces to their wardrobe that expand that expression, would you recommend that they have a variety of different colors to turn to?
Of course. Get rid of the black, bring in all your color. No, it's not true. Yeah, absolutely, right? I would just encourage people to notice what you're wearing. Like that's the
Mm,
first thing, is to notice what you're wearing. Because if you like you said, oh my God, yeah, I'm wearing black all the time. It's like, yeah, notice what you're wearing, where your thoughts are going, and why you pick those things. Because one day you could put on a dress or a shirt or a pair of pants. You can put those on one day, and 2 weeks from now, you're like, yeah, no, I'm
mm,
not wearing that. And so the question then becomes, why do you think that is? So I would encourage people to ask themselves those questions, right? Why do you
absolutely.
think it is? Yeah. Why are you choosing that color? Like, what is it about that color that you like? And it's just because I just like it. It's not really the real reason, right? Like,
Mm,
we could say that to ourselves, but that's not the real reason. There are deeper reasons. Absolutely.
yeah. And do you help people figure out what those deeper reasons are through working with them? Because it's subconscious. You did this lovely session with me, which I will share within this episode. And there's bottles that you subconsciously choose, and then the colors of that bottle tell you what your subconscious is trying to express. So when someone comes to work with you, does the session help them guide them in a direction of healing or finding the blocks? The color kind of,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that's really the purpose of the session. Like I work, like there are a number of people who are color therapists in Canada, UK, South Africa. The system comes from South Africa. So there, Australia, like there are people who work with the system around the world. Um, and people all work uniquely differently with, based on their own strengths, right? I believe that one of the best ways for us to actually get into being able to look at ourselves, because it is really us looking at ourselves. I think that one of the ways that it's done with greater ease and grace is to actually. I bring my clients in a very relaxed state, so I use sound therapy, which is vibration, and I do relaxation massage and things like that, just to bring them into a very relaxed state. Um, they actually pick 5 bottles to, with intention, like, what is going on in my life right now? What about this relationship? What about my job? Like all sorts of things like that. And they will, and in a general session, because there's a lot of different ways that we can actually use color. But in what I would call my signature session, people would come in and do that. They would pick 5 bottles. They would have some nice relaxing time, and then we would sit down and look at the bottles and what they're saying. And and then people will generally, what comes up is things come up. People go, oh yeah, yeah, you're right. I didn't, and quite often people are also surprised by what does come up, what is
Hmm.
actually highlighted, things that they know innately. Like this isn't guessing. It's like, it's not like a tarot reading. Not that there's anything wrong with tarot reading. It's just that it's not a tarot reading. It's much more, as much information people give me, I can actually give back equal information, right? And so, and then the pattern and the stories unfold of what's sitting there in that subconscious. And it also, the really lovely thing about it is that we're not just sitting here digging out all that stuff. We're actually, it also really highlights your gifts, talents, and potential, and those things that actually bring you forward in your life, and these things that really tap in and help you really narrow in on or they give confirmation as well sometimes about things. I was just thinking about, people going into a space of, changing, and life is changing. And then they kind of think, yeah, they think this is the right way to go. And then they get confirmation that it actually is. That is the right thing for them to do, right?
Oh,
Yeah, we question ourselves sometimes, right?
yeah, with doubt, definitely. That is so fascinating. So, bringing it back to you were saying that it's asking yourself the question, why are we drawn to that color? Why are we wearing that color? And then in the therapy session with you, they kind of get guidance and answers and clarity and direction. And then the question becomes, what do I want to wear to feel that the way I want to feel and to experience the things that I want to experience? So, like in our session, I was drawn to the bottle that had the the green and the pink, I believe. Or is it the blue? It was the blue and the pink.
Violet and pink.
It was violet and pink, violet and pink. Thank you for reminding me. And so that was all about my subconscious telling me to love myself more and carving out those times to accept and love myself.
This is this lovely violet bottle over pink. So this is actually the heart chakra. And so the violet, the top part of the bottle, is the conscious part of the mind. This is the spirit. This is your spirit. Your spirit knows everything. It knows, like for you, I'm talking about you personally, your spirit
Yeah.
knows exactly it knows exactly what you need to do in your life. And it's, of course, you know your spirit is there supporting you every part of the journey. And sitting in the subconscious part of the bottle is that lovely, beautiful pale pink. And it's just telling you need to tap into self-love, about self-nurturing, about going into that space and unconditionally, right? It's about that unconditional self-love. And that's the goal, always is the goal, right? Is going into unconditional self-love. And so this is where it is sitting in the subconscious mind. And that's what your soul wants you to know, is that this is the space that's going to serve you the best right now going forward. And I think when you did actually pick this bottle, you were talking about love, and that was your intention when you went into that. You were thinking about love, and it's saying to attract more love, you got to love yourself more, right? It's the mirror, right? Everything, like,
Mhm.
everything out there is going to mirror back to you what you want. So if you want this in your life, which you do, then that is your goal, is to go into that space of self-love. And it's not just about relationships, like I'm talking about intimate relationships. It's about all relationships. It's about, the people that you want to attract into your life for your business. It's about all of that. It's about it
Mm.
all. In order to attract it all, and open to receiving, we need to be in that space of self love. And that's what that bottle is telling you. And that's what you picked that bottle for, is for that message, right?
Okay, okay. And so one way to do that is to include more pink in my life,
Yeah.
which I'm having a hard time with. So okay, so can it be via pink lingerie, pink
Sure.
flowers, and pink art? It doesn't have to be tops
Oh,
and
yeah.
okay.
Pillows, blankets. You don't have to wear it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to see you in 2 years from now. You're going to be sporting this beautiful pink flowy dress. I can just see it. But yeah, absolutely. And like, sure, like if like that's your message. So
Oh.
that doesn't mean just jump and feel comfortable with this. It doesn't mean you're going to feel comfortable with it right away, right? It
I'm
doesn't
so
like, oh,
glad
I
you said that.
released that, I'm moving on. Yeah, it's not like quite. Wouldn't it be nice if that was just the way it was? But it
Right?
isn't, right?
Yeah, you have
It's
a
it's
session
about
with you.
right. It's
Yeah,
about a journey, right? It's about your journey, right?
thank you for reminding me because I had that session with you and you're like, more love, more pink. I tried pink. I'm like, this is so not me. So I literally can't just have a session with you, be told to wear pink, and love myself suddenly. It's gotta be a
Yeah, you're
process.
healed. Everything's done.
Got it. Okay, yes. And I mean, intuitively, I knew this, but this conversation had to happen to remind myself. So I guess this goes back to what we were just talking about. So our soul is called to a certain color because we're feeling a certain way. Can we consciously choose another color and short circuit the process of choosing the colors that we typically are drawn to, and then that way draw what we want to feel?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
You could have a color with pink. right? That's another thing you could do. You can color.
Oh,
This is like completely on the side, and it's no way a plug or anything. But I'm a grief specialist as well, and I use the psychology. I use color therapy, psychology of color, to actually help people heal. And I made a workbook. And within the workbook, there's all sorts of stuff, but also within that workbook, and it's all about color and how color helps us heal through that grief journey. There are actually coloring pages in the book because
oh,
coloring also is making us connect to that color, right? Like you're just sitting there and you're doing, and if you are a colorer, knows what colors you're coloring, and they may change on any day as well. But yeah, absolutely.
that's
And
so
going
beautiful.
and going back to the counterbalance thing, like I here's the thing. I try to stay as much as I can out of actual judgment, right? So and that's all part of conscious living, right? Because we attract what we judge. And who am I to judge? Look at that all the time. I always say, who am I to judge? Like, because really, I don't know anybody's story, so I don't really know. So what I would say is rather, and I try not to judge color. That's why I say black's not a bad color. It just is what it is, right? I mean, it is, and it has its purpose, right? Black has its purpose, 100%. But so rather than try to counterbalance and do all of that, that's way too much work. Why don't you look at what it is that you want to put out and then do that? So for example, I don't know how well you can see it. Today I am wearing teal and I wore this on purpose. So I purposefully dress for things. And so this dress is turquoise. It's a dark turquoise. I don't know if you can actually see it, but so
Yes, it's lovely on you.
thank you. I love turquoise, it's a beautiful color. And so turquoise is about flow. And I always tell people if you want to remember what color to wear to be in the flow of life, it's turquoise. And think about water because water is like that turquoisey color, right? And
Of
there's all
course.
different shades of turquoise, right? And so it's about flow and being in the flow of life. But it is a combination of green and blue. And green is that space of the heart and harmony right in there. And blue is the color of communication. So what you get with turquoise is heartfelt communication. And so I am here today communicating on a podcast. So I'm wearing teal because of that. And so here we are. So that's what I would say. If we're looking at ways to use color in our clothing as a way to uh, draw things into our lives, I would say that's a better way to do it than to try and get rid of stuff. Like you know what I'm saying? Is like to clear
Oh,
something out of your life, like I wouldn't use anything to counterbalance that, right? Because I always look at the positive, like face forward. That's what I say, face forward. What is it that I want to bring in, and then look at it accordingly that way. But yeah, so yeah,
that's
try
so
that.
clever. Oh my gosh, there's so much there. First of all, your journal. My God, what a clever idea.
Oh,
How
thank you,
beautiful.
thank you.
Because, and I also imagine it's a hand to brain connection. Like you're actually holding the pen that is a specific color and you see the page transform and your eyes are taking that in. And it's a full body experience. So that is a very, very thoughtful thing to have created. And, consciously choosing a color, of course, as opposed to looking at the negative, look at the positive. What do I want to create? You're literally creating, you're painting your life with color, but you're just using clothing. So yeah, so much value there. Thank you. So now let's turn to your wardrobe. Well, okay, so you do you have a lot of teal, or that's just one item in your rainbow that's hanging in your closet? What other
Yeah,
things do you
I
turn
knew we
to?
were gonna, like these are the questions which is really funny that I'm on this podcast. Like I said, my husband, I'm going to talk about fashion. And he just kind of looked at me. It's like I'm so far removed from fashion. Here, let's talk about Anya again. Like Anya is much more connected with fashion, but that's her business is about design, right? So I'm probably the least removed from fashion. And I would just like to share with you some of the stuff that went on in my head as I had this from the first time we spoke until today about fashion and who I am as fashion and what has actually molded my own concept of fashion and it's interesting how it like I was really shocked by some of the things that I was thinking about while I was coming up with this concept of fashion. So the first thing is I'm not very fashion conscious. So in other words, when I say that, what I mean is I just kind of like I kind of laugh. I was laughing to myself. I was saying in the winter I wear long sleeves and the summer I wear short sleeves because I'm so affected by the cold. which is funny living in Canada. But and I'm originally from Winnipeg, so it's like, but I don't like being cold. And people go out. Like I'll look at women who are dressed like this, and for the evening, and I go, oh my God, isn't she cold? Like the first thing I think of is I need a shawl. I need a shawl
I'm
to
the same
match
way.
that. It's like going to a wedding. I'm like, I have a shawl. I had to buy a shawl because of a sleeveless dress. This is who I am as a person. If I like things, sometimes I'll like something. If it comes in a couple of different colors, I tend to buy the same thing in a couple of different colors. So it's just, I,
Clever.
because then I kind of go, I really like that dress, but I don't know how I'm feeling teal today. So maybe I'll wear navy, right?
I
Yeah.
love that.
So,
I've never heard that answer before.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh geez. Okay, there you
I'm
go.
gonna
But
have
yeah,
to
that's
try
kind of
that.
what I do.
No,
It, the other thing is, I have found in the last 2 years, I've started traveling because my kids have grown up and stuff. I've gone back to traveling again. I find it like almost impossible to, because I go, what if I need a pink shirt? what, what if I'm feeling like really need to wear green today? What if I don't have a green shirt with me? Yeah. So it's kind of funny that I actually go down that path. So I realized that a couple of years ago, I really struggled to pack. So I go, just deal.
that's fascinating. Oh my gosh, how the color therapist packs for a trip. She thinks about the colors. Because, see, the subject of fashion and clothing is so vast. There's just so much to it. And as a stylist, the way I look at it is you look at a piece of clothing and there's the color, there's the shape, there's the texture, and all the other details that make up that garment. There's the sleeve type, the neckline, the hemline. So as a person who appreciates color and the power of it, you're first drawn to the color of that garment. And for me, I'm drawn to shape actually. And in the last couple of interviews that I've had with people, they're drawn to texture. So everybody's got their signature. And it's our authentic style, our way of looking at fashion. But then part of this journey is the signposts. And so you're sharing your signposts, and someone is going to listen to this podcast and go, oh, I'm going to try going in that direction and try that little journey. And it's so beautiful. I love it. I love it.
And the other interesting thing is that I don't know if you can actually see, but I'm actually really freckled. I'm fully freckled, like all over.
I
So
can't
that's
see.
it.
It's a little, yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, like, and I'm talking, yeah, because I have really dark skin too. So like, you can see it on my neck. You can see it on my arm. You can see it on my arms. There you go.
Oh,
It's
I
just
see now. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm
You have a
fully
nice
freckled.
tan. You've
Yeah,
already
yeah.
got some sun in.
Yeah, I tan really easily. So this is a blessing that I got. I was gifted from my mother. My mother was the same. My mother had beautiful, beautiful auburn hair. I didn't get that, but yeah, I'm very freckled, and that has a huge effect on what I wear
What
because
has? The color has?
my freckles have a
Oh,
huge effect on what I wear. And for all you freckled people out there, they will understand this. There's a lot going on here. Like if you like, I can't wear a lot of pattern. Like I really can't because I'm patterned. Like I sounds really funny, but I'm already patterned, and so adding more pattern on is like, yeah. So sometimes I will look at somebody and go, yeah, God no. And I think sometimes that people don't really understand like that aspect of it. The other thing is, again, lots going on my face pattern wise. I have problems buying glasses. I love frameless glasses because I don't need anything else. Like that's the
mm,
way I always look at it. And I only have framed glasses because the guy where I bought my glasses said, stop buying things, they're really bad. So I went, okay, I'll step out and I'll buy something different. So I've got like half frame glasses, right? So it's kind of, it's, so it's, and glasses are a fashion statement for a lot of people. Like I wish I could go out and buy like, different, but I don't feel comfortable in them because I just feel it's too much. That's my
yeah,
personal
we all
opinion.
have
And
our
I,
comfort level. Yeah, we
yeah,
know
yeah.
what we like. We know what looks good on us. Yeah, it's so that's the other aspect of color is we take into consideration our skin tone, our hair color, our eye color, and there's going to be shades and tints and tones that look better on us, and also the undertone under our skin. I was talking to a girlfriend of mine who has a very pink, cool undertone, and she was literally showing me like, look, this color looks amazing on me, and this one doesn't. So it transforms. Not only does it make us feel certain feelings, but also enhances what we have and makes us gives it that special glow. Because when I wear the right color, oh my goodness, I feel like a rock star. Like, yeah.
My job is done. So, and I'll tell, and and I want to talk about one other thing, and that is hair color. Now, isn't that interesting? So, this
Yeah.
is my natural hair color, and
Beautiful.
I allowed myself to be my natural hair color. I think you and I talked about that self-love thing when I was walking around dyeing my roots, and I have really dark. My hair is as dark as as dark as yours. Like the back of my hair is still really dark, and the under parts of my hair are very, very dark. And I remember, so yeah, I guess like it'll be 11 years ago this year that I decided that I was just going to let my hair go gray because I was really sick and tired of dyeing it. And, carcinogenic, it's such dark dye. And I just went,
Totally.
I'm not authentically myself and I'm just going to do this. And then I did it. And oh my God, like, and that completely shifted me. And it really, you were talking about pivots, right? That was a
Yes.
pivot in my life and in a really positive way. Because when I was allowing my hair to go gray, people were saying to me, "Oh, you're going to dye it back." And no, 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 no. I'm like, "Oh, you don't understand why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I just really don't want to do this anymore." I let my hair go gray. Funny story. My mother passed away last year, but when she was still alive, her and I, like after I had let my hair go gray, we were out. My mom was still dyeing her hair. And my mom and I looked at her one day and I said, "Hey, so do you think people think, because my mother and I actually look a lot alike." And I said, "Do you think people think that's your natural hair color?" And she just started laughing because I was gray. So clearly, if I'm gray, you must be gray. So she just said, "Yeah, you're right." And she just let her hair go gray. But what was interesting about it was the craziest thing was I actually, now that my hair is gray, I rock the color gray when I wear the color gray. Like I was stunned,
Oh, yeah,
like
I can believe
stunned.
it.
Like
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. Like you would think it would just, you would start to feel washed out or like not at all. And I actually really like the color gray, because, oh, then gray must be with a little bit of black in it, white with a little bit of black, right?
I have something like that, like a silver with a little sparkle of a shimmery black. That's yeah, no, I could see that looking beautiful on you, especially with your tan. It just yeah.
It's kind of interesting, like that aspect, like the hair color really has an effect on what we wear. And I don't think I ever really realized that until I actually decided not to dye my hair anymore because my hair changed color. I wasn't a big person to change I didn't really like I wouldn't go, "Oh, I'm gonna dye my hair, blonde today." I wasn't in that space. But yeah, interesting.
Very interesting. There's just so many aspects to color. Now, what about makeup? Because I had a conversation with someone who swore at the power of lipstick, a bright, bold red lipstick that has transformed her life. So, what do you see with your clients or with yourself in terms of like makeup, the colors that come within makeup that have an effect?
So I do believe that there is great power in lipstick. I I really do. I think there or color on your lips. There's just something about that. I could actually, you know, um, just go out and have a tinted lip balm on, and I think that it changes things on our face as well. And I'm
Oh,
not really sure why.
what's the psychological symbolism behind red and pink and like with the shades of lipstick that a woman would turn to? So I'm assuming like a bright red lip is powerful because it's got an element of aggression to it. Pink is soft and feminine. I guess I'm
That's
answering my own question.
interesting. Yeah, well, yeah, maybe, but here there was a study that was. This is interesting. There was a study that was done on about dating apps. I mean, everybody knows that people use color in advertising, right? Color in business, color in branding, and whatnot, right? And so there was some research that was done on dating apps, and it was women looking at men on dating apps. And what they found with this was that the men who were wearing, there was a man who was wearing a red shirt, and he got more hits on his site. And so red, right? So he's wearing this red shirt, and he had more hits on the site, and the psychology behind that would be this. Number one, first of all, red is a very grounding color. It keeps us very grounded. It is the color of the root chakra, the first, the old root chakra color. It is red. And so it's about that grounding. So of course, women are looking at men. They like to feel a man is grounded and you know in that space. But then red, where do we go? when we think about red, the color red, if we're thinking about love and romance, where do we go? It's, lingerie, hearts,
Mm,
it love, like it really goes into that space, which is funny because when I think about love, I think about pink. That's me personally, and always have. I
yeah.
don't think I necessarily went to red, but and so there is something about the draw of that color into to these women who were connecting with that man. Maybe a man who's wearing black might not have as many hits because again he's mysterious and I don't know what do we know about him. And
Mm.
you're trying to ascertain information about somebody just from a picture. You're probably going to look at that picture and make different conclusions about things based on what people are wearing. I really believe that, and not just from the perspective of he's wearing schleppy clothes versus a suit. I think it's like if you had all men wearing, different men wearing the same shirt in different colors, and you would have different responses.
Huh. Okay, so for any ladies who are out there on dating apps, look for guys wearing red. And guys, if you want more hits, wear red.
Well, if you're looking for that romance and that grounded stuff, right? But if you're looking for something else, maybe it's a different color, right? I mean, that's the reality of it, right? Like,
Right,
when
right.
we were talking about a room full of people, women. Let's say you have a room full of people and all the women are wearing black dresses because it's an event. Let's say it's a social networking event, and there's lots of different people, male, female, whatever, all in this room, and most women are wearing a black dress because that's a lot of what times what women do. And then shows up in coral. And so for the first thing that's going to happen is you're gonna automatically you're gonna stand out because
Mm.
you're not wearing a black dress, you're wearing coral. Like that is a reality. You're going to stand out just because you're wearing a completely different color. How can you not, right? But then you have to really think about, let's actually look at that color coral. And so coral is about self-acceptance, and it goes into it's a mix of pink and yellow, which is love and joy, and it's a very expansive color, right? So it's big and expansive. So you're wearing that coral color, and you're sitting in that space where this is how you're feeling. And obviously, you're not going to wear a coral like we got to remember, right? There's always, like, if you're wearing a dress and you're not comfortable in it, you're going to not be comfortable all day, and it's going to show in your and how you're responding. But let's say you're comfortable in that coral dress. Like I'm saying, you're not going to go to an event wearing a pink dress because that's not right now, because that's not what makes you feel comfortable, right? Because we know, first of all, we have to feel comfortable in what we're wearing. So if you're in that space and you're feeling comfortable wearing that coral dress, we have to remember that about that self-acceptance. So what is going to happen is the people that are in that headspace, that they're in that same headspace as you, are going to be more attracted to you, and would probably more likely come over and talk to you at this social networking event because they're in that same energy, right?
Oh,
Does that make
so
sense?
it does, because that was one of my other questions. What color do we wear to attract people, opportunities, and love? And what you're saying is coral is expansive. It attracts people to you on opportunities, but the right people, because we want to attract we don't want to attract everyone. We want to attract what's right
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I'm not saying that, like that's going to be a magnitude, right? Because there's other things that are, it's up to, the filters we have, oh, this person's
Yeah.
talking to me and they must be of like mind. But the chances are, if it's a genuine connection. But that's the other thing, right? Is that, that coral is also about being in that space of the acceptance of life, like the self-acceptance of life, the acceptance of how my life is. And I'm comfortable with where I am, right? And it's really a connection with the highest vibration of yourself, because it's talking about pink and yellow, and the undertone of that, or the mixture of that, right, is pink and yellow, which is love and joy, right? And I believe that is the highest vibration of ourselves, is that space of love and joy, right? That higher consciousness, right? And it also is tapping into self-worth in a really positive way, right? That I know my self-worth, And so you're not, someone who's seeking out like-minded people who are feeling in that space will probably most likely be more attracted to come over and speak to you, or more attracted to what you're wearing, or maybe you're just helping shine what they need back into their lives, right?
Oh, that is so well explained. Yeah, I was talking to someone else on the podcast. We were talking about coherence, and with Anya, I was talking about the high frequency setup of our wardrobe. How we handling our clothing. How is our closet organized? So it's all about raising our frequency, raising our self-worth, our expression, and we can use color to do that. Now, on the spectrum, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's certain colors that have their own frequency that they come with. And isn't purple associated with like the highest chakra, and like isn't that the highest frequency, or am I mixing it with something else? What does purple represent?
Purple is usually connecting us to the spiritual side of ourselves, right? That
Ah,
that connection, really. So it's that connection
hence the
to the
bottle
divine,
that I
right?
chose.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. All color has vibration. All color has its own vibration, and color is a vibration. And that is why it's so easy for us to connect to it, because vibration is really very color speaks to us in vibration, right? And it's again, it's light. Color is light, and it is light speaking, so it's nonverbal, right? I didn't need to say to you, okay, I'm wearing this dark teal dress, which actually now I'm looking at it looks black. I'm wearing this dark teal dress, and what I'm wearing is really speaking, right? It's speaking. It's light language because it's nonverbal. Because we all understand it, right? It's like across the globe, right? If you look at
Yes.
cultures, every culture brings something into. You look at First Nations; they're dealing with black, red, yellow, white. Those are the main colors that they deal with. You look at the Indian culture; they even have the days where you're going through and people are throwing color, right? Like it's like I just think that's so lovely, and it is.
Yes.
But their color is really interwoven in every culture, and it means something in every culture, right? You look at in the Chinese culture at New Year's, they give red envelopes with gold writing on them. It Red is the color of money. It's like I find that fascinating. Red is the color of money.
You talked about the pivot points. How was color involved in those pivot points for you throughout life?
Well, it's funny, in my 20s, I had bought a book back, way back in my 20s, and I'm in my 60s now. I had bought a book 40 years ago talking about color, and that book talked about how color and your clothing is like there is a connection between color and your clothing and your mental state. And I remember, again, I don't even really remember the book, like the name of the book, and I don't remember what they were saying in the book, other than I knew that the top part and the bottom part had, just like these bottles, right? Here they're different bottles, right? And different
Yeah.
color. I just really wanted to show you this too. So look at these two bottles here.
Yes.
They're pretty much the same colors, only they're in different spaces and they mean completely different things.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
interesting, right? And so again, so too, when we're wearing, like, a color on top and a color on bottom, for people who are looking at this bottle here, this bottle is called New Beginnings. And if you
Oh,
look at the bottle, right, you've got joy sitting on the top of the bottle. That's what you innately know. It's a new beginning. And then the reminder here to be in the flow, in the turquoise, be in the flow of life, right? And that's what new beginnings really are about staying connected to the joy of what's coming into your life and staying in the flow, and trying not to interfere with the flow of life, and allowing things to be where they are. And this bottle is actually called trust. And so
hmm.
you're sitting here in the opposite colors, because colors have, again, I don't like to go into the judgment of negative and positive, but they have two sides to them, right? So here's yellow sitting in joy, and here is a reminder sitting in the bottom of this bottle to also to be in the flow of life and to go into trust, because when we're in trust, we have to be in the flow of life, and we have to trust that everything is unfolding as it should. And the yellow part of this bottle is sitting here to remind you to stay out of fear, because the other side of yellow is fear. Remember yellow belly? We talked about that earlier.
Yes.
So yeah, so I just really wanted to say that there is a connection between those two things. And I had learned that really, really, really young, and like in my well, I think that's young in my 20s, and then sort of just having that innate knowledge with me as I went along, and then fast forward to 2016 when it kind of the system kind of landed in my lap, and I just went, yeah, I know there is an effect on color. I have a degree in psychology and I understand all of this. So for me, the pivot point was, yeah, this is really something. This is much more than just me dressing. There is much more to this. There's much more depth to this than that.
The signs were all there earlier in life. I spoke to
Yeah.
someone else about that. Like then you look back and you go, ah, that's why that happened the way it did. And that's why that was presented to me in my life, because it had to unfold this way and for me to be here and offering all this value. Now, how can people work with you and tell us more about these little bottles? So there's a website, and on the website, it tells you exactly what the definition or um, what is the meaning behind the bottle that you are drawn to. And it's also got a scent. You can add it to a bath, I think is what you said when
Yeah,
we
so,
spoke.
yeah. So these are yeah. So there's two things like that. You can see there's sprays in the back too. So there's
Yeah.
like dual. There are like there's single like so there are bottles of oil and water. Like the oil is on the top, so that's how they separate. So you'll have double yellow bottles, or you'll have a yellow and turquoise bottle. There's all sorts of I showed you the other bottle that you had. There's a double pink bottle for you.
I love it.
That's
Getting that
Venus.
one.
That's
That's Ina's
Venus.
bottle.
Right? Yeah, Ina's bottle of Venus. And then there's sprays as well. So these are bath oils. And so what people do is they will purchase bottles and then they bathe them to actually help them to assimilate the work that they're actually doing. So again, on my website, there's 88 bottles of dual colored bottles. And they're on my website. So if you're feeling anything on any given day, you can actually go onto my website. It's just my name, susanmckenzie.co, and you can go under oil messages and look at them and go, oh, I'm feeling really angry at something, or I'm just feeling really stuck today. And then just look at the bottles and then pick one. So the bottles, when they were actually made, they were energized on a geometric grid, and they've all been. The intention behind the bottles is healing, and intention has great power. Right, attention has great power behind it. So when you're actually sitting with the bottles and you're working with the bottles, and like again, if you pick a bottle and then you read it, you'll find that usually there is a connection to what you're actually looking for clarity on, right? And when I work with the bottles, either if I'm doing, I do virtual readings. I do some virtual readings. I teach the system to people. And then when people come to see me, they'll have readings here as well. Like I said, I will do a full session, and people come out feeling just so lovely. And I feel that what really happens is that people clear the stuff that's holding themselves down, and then they just come out and they feel more purpose driven. You were asking, we were talking earlier about a memorable client, and this happened actually fairly recently. The story behind it is there was a woman who worked for a law firm. She got a phone call from someone with my name. Um, she Googled me and realized it wasn't me that called, and then went, "What the heck is this stuff?" And started looking at my website, and then booked a reading with me. And a lot of what was going on for her was that she really wanted to be a lawyer, and she'd always wanted to be a lawyer, and then could find a million reasons why not to be a lawyer. Like her now, her life is this and this and this and this and this. And then, we had this session and clear whatever. And then a week later, she sent me a text message and said, just to let you know, I just registered for law school. I was just like, I almost
Oh,
wanted to cry. I just, because for me, like, none of this is about me. It's about people. And it's just, if I can bring people to that place where they're just going to move, and they're just going to, they're going to, they're going to rise to their potential. Like, what more could you want? Because what more could you want? You're going to rise to your potential because you're living so much more consciously. And that just helps the world collectively, right? That's what I think
yes.
anyway.
Absolutely. I believe that too. If we raise our own consciousness and our own frequency and we feel good and we help others feel good,
Yeah.
then we raise the collective consciousness and tackle some of these big issues that we're having in the world right now. So, yeah, if we could tackle it on a small scale, it will expand slowly and will tip the scales, so to speak. But that is so beautiful what you do. It almost sounds like you catch people in their pivot point when they're facing doubt, when they're facing uncertainty, and you're using color to help them tap into their authentic self, into that depth, that soul, and to find clarity. So thank you for doing that. You're such an inspiration, and I really enjoyed our
Thank you so much.
conversation today.
Thank you so much, Gina.
Okay. So, let's take a couple of breaths. A couple of deep inhales. Think about, what you might want some clarity on. What does your soul want you to know right now? Then when you're ready, just have a look at the bottles and then just pick one.
They're all so beautiful. Oh, I'm drawn to the pink and purple one, the lavender with the light pink, almost like baby pink. And
This
yes,
one?
yes, that one.
That one?
Yes.
Next time you see Anya, tell her you did a one bottle pick. Tell her that's the bottle you picked. She'll laugh.
Which bottle is it called?
It's bottle C12, and it is the new heart chakra bottle. So the chakras are changing, right, as we shift. And I think that most people, when you start talking to them about that aspect, that the chakra colors are changing, it makes sense, right? Whereas, red was the root chakra color. Red is the old and white is the new. And it makes sense because we're actually bringing down into the earth. We're actually grounding light into the earth as opposed to grounding ourselves into the earth, right? So as we shift, that's where we go with that. But anyway, so there you go. Have a look at that.
D12 chakra, heart chakra. It's so funny because my question was about love. So there you go.
Look at that. So so you could go on my website, you could look at this bottle. You can see all those bottles there, and there's like a little short write-up, and it just tells you. So just to let you know that, so these, you can actually bathe in these bottles. So they're like oil and water together. They have a scent once you actually bathe them that helps to integrate stuff that people are working on. So I'm just going to do a little bit of reading for here and just pull some stuff that I'm drawn to read about this, right? So it says, this bottle unites your heart with your spirit and relates to oneness and unconditional love. It connects you with the heartbeat of your soul and your true divine loving light. This bottle reflects all the inner beauty you hold and asks you to share it with the world. Now is the time to recognize that you are one with all of humanity. This bottle may indicate grief over the loss of a mother or deep transformation of mother issues. Anytime you are struggling to see your own light, bottle C12 radiates it to you with full force. When you are choosing this bottle, it says, look in the mirror. This is how beautiful you are. It is a powerful reminder of the truth of your inner light and the love you carry within. Lilac is the color of the clear connection to spirit, unhindered by ego's demands, and pink relates to self-love. And so that's some of the write-up of the actual bottle. But, so here we're sitting with pink on the bottom part of the bottle and that lovely lilac on top. And that is like the spirit side of things. And the top part of the bottle is your conscious mind. And the bottom part of the bottle is your unconscious mind. And so what you really know is this, you are deeply connected to your spirit, and you know that. And that's obvious. Like, you would have gone, oh yeah, okay, let's do this. My soul wants to tell me something. Okay, fine. You already know that. You're already on that path. And the part that is sitting in the subconscious is the part that your soul wants you to actually really pay attention to. And that pink is all about unconditional self-love and unconditional self-acceptance. So it's like, where is that, and what is it, and so it wants you to look at those aspects of yourself, and where do you not see yourself as where you unconditionally love yourself, or you unconditionally accept yourself. Here's a good example of that. I used to go, oh, yes, I love myself unconditionally. And there I was every third week dyeing my hair and touching up my roots. Look at my hair. Like, I'm really gray. And it's like, finally, just one day, I just went, okay, you love yourself, except your hair. You got to let go of that, right? So for me, that was a really big thing. It's not like that for everybody else, but that really rang true for me. And so that's really what that's about, is that, it's asking you to delve into those places where you do not go into that space of unconditional self-love or unconditional self-acceptance, right?
Thank you so much for listening to the Tapestry podcast. Chances are, if you resonate with the content I shared today, you might be on a journey to finding your authentic voice and your unique message for the world. If that is the case and you're navigating speaking in public, then my Styled to Speak program is perfect for you, because the outfit we custom designed for you together will help you make the most out of the 7 seconds it takes to make that first impression on stage. Speak with conviction and allow your signature stage outfit to add to that conviction. Visit jewelbrandingstudios.com to learn more. That's JEWEL brandingstudios.com.